PCI. That's kind of interesting. If you look at the GPU, you can see that the 5000 series is far more popular than the other ones. So we'll just go ahead and pick the HD 5000 series. And of that particular series, we only can specify 2.0 by 16 lane or 2.1 by 16 lane. I believe 2.1 devices are backward compatible to a PCI Express 2.0 motherboard, so that would be just fine. Stream processors. Now that's the interesting part. How do you specify a graphics card? What is a stream processor? NVIDIA calls it a different name, but it's basically the same thing. One stream processor is basically a processor that is capable of doing 3D rendering and whatnot. So the more processors you have, you can see that some have 80 only, and the maximum one has 3200, but that's only if you have two cards, using the cross-link technology. So if you move one step back up again, it is 1600. In other words, in terms of the number of processing units, they are off by what? 20 times. The lowest performance one versus the highest performance one, they're off by 20 times. Okay? And why do we need so many processors? I mean, how does that work? So basically, one processor can work on one pixel at a time. Okay? Your main processor will tell the graphics card and say, I want to render these things on the screen. Okay? There's a ball here, there's a box here, there's the background here, and the lighting is being shined from this direction. Okay? So those are the things that your processor will specify to the graphics card. And obviously, the graphics card also has to know that what is the resolution being displayed. But once everything is specified, then each pixel will be drawn by a particular processor. If you only have 80 of these stream processor units, it means each one will have to be it has to draw one pixel and then another pixel and then another pixel. In theory, the one that has 1600 stream processing units will render a scene 20 times faster than the one that only has 80 processors. So that's the way you can look at it, is this really controls how fast a particular scene can be rendered on the screen. Any questions about that aspect? No? Which one is more popular? Which one is the most popular, standard? The one with 400 stream processing units is the most popular in terms of number of units offered. The next one is actually skipping 320, is the 800 version. Okay, the 1600 version is as popular, almost as popular as the 800 one, because I think it's considered higher performance. Let's just take a look at that one, since I'm not paying for this computer. And of course, I'm hiding the price right now, to avoid the sticker shock. Woo! And this is sorted by lowest price first already. Okay. Now, one of the factors you have to think about when you get a super high-end graphics card like this is you need to make sure your motherboard or your power supply unit also have support for a super high-end graphics card. Your power supply needs to run a power cable directly from the power supply to the graphics card when you have a super high-end graphics card like this. The graphics card, in this case, all of these will take up 200 plus watts from the power supply. It will draw more power than the main processor itself, all the hard drives that you will put, even with a RAID setup, and also what are the other power hogs. There are no other power hogs. Your GPU, your graphics card will be the single component in your system that draws the most power when you specify a card like that. Yep.
What's the benefit of having a video card like that? I mean, what would be?
You can play games with no perceivable jitter or lag of any kind, even when you run the games at the highest possible resolution.
Will Will it just benefit the games, or will it benefit video too, as far as streaming video?
No, streaming video, you can probably go for a really low-end version and it will still be fine. Yep.
If you're not a gamer, will it still benefit you?
If you're not a gamer, most of the time, the one that is included in the processor works just fine. If you're just watching movies and whatnot, that would be fine. I would, if I were you, just watching, videos and whatnot, I won't even buy an external video card. Just go for the internal one on the processor itself. When that one runs out of gas and you're trying to play a movie or when you're trying to play a game and it's really jaggy, then you can consider getting an external card. Yeah, go ahead.
Would you need that kind of card for like rendering objects or other things of that nature?
That's a good question. It depends on the software. Some software may utilize the graphics card itself to render the graphics. Other software may be completely processor oriented. So you're using the Pentium processor all the time to render the graphics. Yep, go ahead.
I was actually going to add on all that because I have two pretty high-end graphics cards, moving around like really high-end, but it does help because I have two of them. I do a lot of like the 3D imaging stuff as far as like making like a spherical ball or like a box or whatever like that. Because me and my friends do like little cartoons and we just mess around for fun. And we do all kinds of that stuff and it definitely helps by far. Because when I had just my first one, it was kind of choppy. But when I got my second one and bridged them, it was a lot smoother.
Okay.
So it definitely helps as far as 3D rendering goes, I think.
Okay. If you're making a movie, you're still making it frame by frame. In other words, instead of spending a week to render all the graphics, now you can spend like only 2 or 3 days to render the movie. Yep.
My brother, for his work, has a BIM program that combines a lot of different construction models.
Mm-hmm.
Like the electrical contractors will create a model of their circuitry,
Mm-hmm.
and then the plumbing and everything. They'll all create, and then he has a program that puts the models together, and he goes through and finds clashes in it.
Right.
And he has to have a really powerful graphics card to do that, because he's viewing a model from all these different sides.
Right.
And to make it a smooth transition.
Right.
Because he can graphically move it around.
Right.
It requires really powerful.
Okay, but this is.
I was just saying that's just something else that's not gaming that requires.
Right. But there are engineering, programs that will also require that type of rendering, because let's say you're designing a robot, that has many parts. So sometimes you need to rotate, the design just so that you can see, okay, but how is that part of the arm designed? So by doing that, you're zooming out, zooming in, you're rotating, and every time you do that, and your robot has a lot of different little parts, then you need a high-end graphics card to render the graphics, in a timely fashion. But I do want to bring out, we're already running out of time, is these graphics cards, super high-end type, require two 75-watt 6-pin PCI Express power connectors. That means the card itself is consuming 150 watts by itself. Okay, that's a lot of power. Okay, if you think about it, 150 watts is a lot of power. It also states right here your power supply has to be 500 watts or better. I would specify the 1 kilowatt power supply if I were to run a graphics card that expensive. Okay. All right. Well, let's stop here, and then we'll pick up from here on Thursday.